If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Alex Vetter. I'm the marketing manager here at EasyMorph, and we're really happy you all joined us for today's webinar, How to Automate Manual Work in Excel Without Coding. So today we'll briefly go over a quick overview of what we're talking about, and then we'll go into tasks that you can automate in Excel and how the Excel and EasyMorph integration works together. Then we'll showcase a practical example of how your team members can use Excel in a real-life scenario. And at the end, we'll open it up to a Q&A for everyone where you can ask questions. Throughout the webinar, we recommend you place questions in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. So today, we have two leaders joining us. We have Dmitry Gudkov, who is our founder at EasyMorph, and then we have Matt Fryer, our technology evangelist. Both have over 25 years of experience in the data and analytics industry, and they have decades of experience helping teams collaborate and simplify their data-related processes. So now I'm going to hand it off to Dmitry.
Thank you, Alex. I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. So today we will be talking a lot about Excel automation, but I'd like to start with the events that happened 13 years ago. 13 years ago. Back then, I was a consultant for business intelligence and data analytics systems, and I worked for a big bank in Toronto. And in that bank, I saw a picture that was very typical, and I saw it previously in many other organizations, financial and not. And it was a big floor, open space, many computers, lots of smart people working with spreadsheets. And what they did with spreadsheets was a lot of tedious work. So they copied, pasted data, stretched formulas, looked at numbers, tried to make sense of it, calculated different things, and it was tedious, and it was obvious that there should be a better way of doing things, and it shouldn't be like that. Then, being a consultant, my task was to develop a reporting system, reporting application, and I looked into VBA macros that people wrote in attempt to automate some of their work. But that was horrible. That was horrible because apparently people who write those macros, they are not professional software developers. They were not trained for this. It wasn't their dream to write macros and scripts just to automate their everyday job. They were trained as financial experts, risk managers, compliance managers, and well, scripting clearly didn't work well for them. And that was the final straw, when the last straw, when I thought, well, there should be a better way of doing things, and that's how I came up with the idea of EasyMorph. And that's when we started EasyMorph as a company. And the idea behind EasyMorph was simple. There is a lot of manual work done in Excel. How can we automate data manipulation, data preparation without writing code in a way that is approachable for non-technical people, for business professionals? So that's why we've created EasyMorph, a tool that is used today by hundreds of organizations, by thousands of people every day. And our goal was to make life easier for them, and it seems like it worked. It worked looking at all the people who work with EasyMorph every day. So today we can confidently say that EasyMorph it's a good companion for Excel. And if you look at Excel, we know that Excel is great for what I call data agency. Data agency meaning that it's an application that less technical people can use to do calculations, to do transformation, to work with data as they need it on their own without asking for someone else. So they are self-sufficient in their needs, in their of working with data. And this is what Excel is great for. This is what it's known for. And sometimes IT people, they dismiss Excel and they try to replace Excel with something else. I don't know, like Power BI or some other BI application. But what they frequently don't understand that Excel gives non-technical people that data agency, and you just cannot take it away from this. So it's extremely important. And we know that Excel is great for manual data editing. It gives a lots of freedom. It has a very simple principle in its core, but it opens massive opportunities, massive possibilities for data editing and calculations. At the same time, well, the data automation story for Excel is pretty bleak, and it goes against all the principles of Excel. It's not visual, it's not simple, and it's not intended. Well, the VBA, I'm talking about VBA macros, and it's not suitable for business professionals, people who are not trained and who didn't want to be trained for being software developers. So that's why we position EasyMorph as a companion app for Excel, where it offers a similar level of data agency, where non-technical people, business professionals, marketing managers, HR specialists, accountants, they can transform data, automate data routines without being programmers, without coding, using a visual drag and drop interface, using an application with a simple concept, but there's nothing difficult or complex about EasyMorph's core idea. And while EasyMorph is not intended for manual data editing, Excel does it well, so no need to compete with Excel here. Instead, EasyMorph is intended for automating different data routines without programming. So what does EasyMorph do in general? So first of all, it's a workflow-based visual data preparation and automation, where you can drag and drop, as you will see it in a few moments, as you will be able to drag and drop different building blocks, pre-configured building blocks, and compose them into creating workflows that consolidate data, merge it, perform complex calculations, aggregate, cleanse, validate, and do many other operations. But besides that, you can automate many tasks or routine operations around spreadsheets. For instance, automatically uploading, downloading spreadsheets, let's say to SharePoint or from SharePoint or Google Drive, OneDrive, receive emails, save attachments, unzip them, check for consistency, and while we will not talk today about more advanced capabilities, we postpone these topics to our second part of this webinar. But you can also perform more advanced operations such as API requests or database querying databases, or sending automatic messages to Teams or Slack, and many more other things that we will cover in the second part of this webinar. All those capabilities you can do without coding, without programming as well. So, and this is part of EasyMorph capabilities as well. And finally, since like Excel, EasyMorph is very visual, it's very reactive, it's intuitive, it makes it a great tool for data analysis, where you need to look into a data set or a set of records, and you want to make sense of it. You want to understand, evaluate data quality, understand if this data makes sense from a business perspective, if it's not broken in certain ways, if there are no omissions, and everything is here. So it's a good tool for data analysis as well, and those three capabilities are the main use cases for EasyMorph. If you haven't heard about EasyMorph previously, and if you have never tried the application, it's super easy to get. We have a time unlimited, data volume unlimited, forever free edition that you can use just by downloading and installing it on your machine. It's a Windows application, so you should have a Windows computer. So just go to our website, easymorph.com, press download, select download EasyMorph, and voila, you have it running on your desktop. It comes with examples. We have a great tutorial on our website. We have plenty of training videos on our YouTube channel. So, and if it doesn't take, as Matt will demonstrate it in a moment, it doesn't take much to learn the basics of EasyMorph. It's a simple principle, simple at its core, so getting started with EasyMorph is easy and straightforward, because it's intended for non-technical people. Now I'm passing the mic to Matt, who will be demonstrating the application, and who will be demonstrating how you can EasyMorph to automate frequent operations with the spreadsheets and with data calculations.
Thank you. So as Dimitri said, EasyMorph is fundamentally a visual workflow-based data preparation and automation tool. But what does that mean? If any of you are not familiar with EasyMorph and don't have any experience of working with it, let's take a look at what that means and how the fundamentals of EasyMorph work, so that we can then use it along Excel and look at solving some of those common problems we have in Excel. So let's begin by opening up EasyMorph. I'll begin by opening one of the examples that ships with EasyMorph, that anybody who's familiar with EasyMorph will have come across, and we've opened on lots of our previous webinars. Here we can see a very simple workflow, and the basic principles of any workflow is that they are built up by building blocks, as Dimitri said, which do something with data step by step. And each building block does something ranging from sourcing data and loading it in from a file or a database or a business system, through transforming that data in lots of different ways and outputting that data again to wherever we need. Each step is known as an action in EasyMorph, and we simply build up workflows by chaining together these actions one after another in order to manipulate and process the data as we need. One of the real key differences between EasyMorph and many other kind of workflow-based data tools, including when we work with data in Excel, is that EasyMorph shows us the data as it exists at each and every step in that chain of actions. So I can click any action and it will show me what the data look like at that point in time. In Excel, kind of the closest thing we get is undoing and redoing things that we've done to try and go back and see what it looked like. In EasyMorph, we can pick any action in any table in our workflow and see the data in that table at that exact point. It gives us ultimate visibility and makes it really easy to understand what we're doing with the data as we transform it. So now we looked at what a workflow basically is, let's look at how easy it is to create a workflow starting from scratch in EasyMorph. So I'll go back and I will create a brand new project in EasyMorph, and we'll start to build up a workflow, chaining together some of these actions. So the first thing we want to do is add data. And there are two buttons in EasyMorph, which are probably the most commonly used buttons: add data and add action. Not surprisingly, I'm going to use add data, and I click it and it gives me a shortcuts to go and find all of the different types of data that EasyMorph can load in from databases and business systems, but of course also files, most importantly, Excel spreadsheets. So I can then navigate to any Excel spreadsheet, and I'll pick some sample data, and we can open that spreadsheet in EasyMorph. And as simple as that, we've loaded this table, this spreadsheet of data in, and we can see that data, and we can then start to add other things and other manipulations to that data to transform it or do whatever we need to do with it. So let's start with something really simple. I'm just going to sort the data by the date. So I can then use the add action button. It brings me up the panel that shows me all of the actions available in EasyMorph, and there are actions to do just about anything you can ever wish to do with data. I'll sort the data, so I can simply search for sort, and I can drag that action to my workflow, placing it where I need in the flow of actions to do that. And each action has a series of settings available. So for this one, I need to pick what column I need to sort it by. I'll pick my date and I'll apply that. So really simply, we can start adding actions one by one in order to build up our workflow to do whatever it is we need. Now, as well as finding the action in the nearly 200 actions that are available in EasyMorph, we can also use lots of different shortcuts to apply many of the actions quickly and automatically for us. So as well as sorting the data, if I remove that, another way that I could apply that same action is to right click on the column that I want to sort, and I can select sort at ascending, and again EasyMorph will add the relevant action to that workflow for me, sorting it into the right order. Now, these actions, these quick actions, range from all of the most common things you would want to do, such as filtering, sorting data, to excluding certain values, including certain values, and even modifying values we need to modify. They are ultimately just about anything you see in a workflow. We can right click and apply many of those actions using shortcuts. So I want to filter to only my salesperson, Terry. So I right click on Terry's name. And again, EasyMorph has just gone and found the relevant action for me, added that action to build up my chain of actions one by one to start to transform the data in all of the ways that I want and need to do. So workflows are really simple, really easy to create, and they're really fast as well, much faster than sort of repetitively trying to do many manual data tasks in other tools, including in Excel, especially when we want to be able to repeat those things. So now that we know what a workflow is and how we start to build up a workflow, let's consider some of the most boring things and repetitive things that we end up doing with Excel when we're trying to work with data in Excel. They're not the most exciting things, they're not the most complex things, but they do take up a considerable amount of time. And when I'm trying to do the same thing every week for the new version of a report each week or every month, I end up doing those same things over and over again. So let's look at some of these things and how EasyMorph can help us to speed up some of the problems. So again, let's start with a new blank project. And the first thing we'll do is we'll look at bringing in data from lots of different sheets within a single Excel spreadsheet. So my data file here, my Excel spreadsheet, if I open it, I have not just one sheet with all my data on, but I've got it split across multiple sheets. In this example, I've got a sheet per month for the last 12 months, but that could be that you receive the data by department or by a salesperson or by any other kind of way of dividing that data up. And in order to get it all into a single sheet so that I can start to use it in Excel, well, there are advanced ways of doing it automatically, but for most people, we resort to creating a new sheet, copying all of the data from the first sheet, going to the bottom, copying all of the data from the next sheet as well, and adding it together. And to do that in this instance 12 times is going to take me a few minutes to do. When I have to do that every day or every week for a report that I need to send out, that's maybe 5 minutes that I have to sit just cutting and pasting data alone to just bring all of that data into one place. So let's look how easy that problem is to solve in EasyMorph. As well as using the Add Data button, another shortcut we can use to get data into EasyMorph is I can simply pick the file up and drag it into EasyMorph and let go of it, and we have loaded in that file. And EasyMorph will have looked at the file and worked out what settings it thinks it needs to use to load the data from that file. Now you can see that by default, it selected the first sheet in that workbook, but I can simply pick any and all of the sheets that I need to load in this instance, all 12, and I apply it. And now I've loaded all of the data from all of those individual sheets into one table, and it took me a couple of clicks. Just to show that it's all there, let's sort it by the date again. And as we can see, if I scroll down, not only have we got January's data, we've got February's, March, etc. as well. So combining data in lots of different sheets can be just boring, but also time consuming. And in EasyMorph, it couldn't be any quicker or simpler. Now, as well as combining data from lots of different sheets in the same Excel workbook, we also have the problem often of combining different Excel files as well, where the data is split across multiple files instead. So I have all that same data, but instead it's just split into different separate Excel files. And again, that's probably a task for cutting and pasting the data in order to try and consolidate it and bring it all together for me to then use. In EasyMorph, couldn't be any simpler again. I can select all 12 files, simply drag them in, and EasyMorph will have loaded all of those files together into a single table for me. And again, I can sort it and see that I've got all of the data for all of the months brought in and combined. So those really boring cutting and pasting exercises, EasyMorph can start to take away and make it much simpler for you. Now, another common thing is it's not just Excel files that we need to be able to use. We need to be able to use other file formats in Excel often, or whether that's on their own or whether it's combining them with other Excel files. So a really common occurrence is that we also need to be able to bring data in from other file types like CSV that we use in Excel all the time. And again, EasyMorph, just the same way, I can drag that file in and EasyMorph will work out the correct action to load that data in, and that data is then available for me to use just like my Excel spreadsheet. And I can start to combine that data along with the Excel data in lots of different ways, as we'll see in a minute. So one really common way that we often combine data, whether it be from one Excel spreadsheet to another, or from an Excel spreadsheet to other file formats, or from data coming from databases or other sources, is the good old VLOOKUP. Anybody who's familiar with Excel and used it as much as I have, and many of you probably have, will be very familiar with the VLOOKUP. But as Dimitri said, that is, if you like, an Excel expression to have to implement that. And so to do that VLOOKUP in Excel, I would actually have to write an Excel expression. There are many actions in EasyMorph which replicate many of the things we would do in Excel to merge data or transform it in different ways, which we can do with an action in EasyMorph. So as taking the example of a VLOOKUP, we have a lookup action, which I can find, drag in to my action chain. I can then configure this action as I need to do my VLOOKUP equivalent. So I'm going to look up in my products table. I am going to look up my product in column 1, and I'd like you to return column 2. Just like a VLOOKUP, but I didn't have to write an expression in Excel or in EasyMorph to do it, there's an action that lets me do that automatically without having to kind of manually undergo those exercises of writing calculated columns in Excel to do the same thing. And there's lots of other things that we would do commonly in Excel where, again, EasyMorph makes it just really simple to do. A real common example might be I need to change certain values in Excel data, so to correct it because of known errors. So maybe this monitor that costs £525 or dollars actually should have been 425. In EasyMorph, again, really straightforward. I can replace that value, and I can replace it with my corrected value instead, and that will be replaced throughout my whole table. Now, again, if we look at the data in Excel, that can be a very boring, monotonous thing we have to do every month, where we have to either write another expression or calculation in another column to correct that value, or sometimes, more often than not, we end up using the good old find and replace to find our specific value that was problematic. It was 55, and replacing it with our corrected value instead. Now, that doesn't take us very long to do because I can replace all, but I have to do it every time. And so the benefit of doing this kind of cleansing with automated actions and rules in EasyMorph is that it becomes repeatable. And so every time I want to do this same manipulation and preparation, again, if I'm doing this same report every week or every day or every month, I don't, again, have to spend time manually finding, replacing data to try and cleanse it and fix it in Excel. If I can easily add an action to my EasyMorph workflow to do the same thing. And lastly, one of the other kind of really sort of overlooked time-consuming aspects of working with data in Excel is often all of the kind of other things we have to do in Excel outside of sort of once we've got the data. It's getting that data in the first place and pulling it all together and being able to work with that data. And especially when that's files like Excel files or CSVs, there's lots of things we'll end up spending quite a few minutes going to find where the data comes from and downloading it, or downloading it from a SharePoint site, or maybe we need to just move it from or copy it from a network drive, or we need to rename our files, or even unzip files, which is a common one. So if all of my data sits in a zip file that maybe I've been emailed, I have to unzip all of that data. And again, all of those actions can start to build up and make these repetitive Excel generations of reports be time consuming for us to do. Thankfully, if we have that problem, we have actions to do all of that kind of automation aspects as well, not just data preparation aspects. Now, there's far too many for us to cover. We'll cover some of the more advanced ones next time. But if we just take that example of a zipped up file, we can easily solve this again in EasyMorph, because we have our actions not just to manipulate data, but to automate things around the data landscape as well. So we have a file command action, which I can drag and put at the very beginning of my action chain. And one of the options, as well as all those moving, copying files, is I can unzip a file. And so I can then navigate to my EasyMorph, sorry, my Excel data that's all zipped up. And I can decide where I'm going to output it to. Let me paste a folder in just for speed. And now when I run this action, it will unzip all of that data from that zip file first, before we try and do all of the other things we've done to that data to manipulate it, and etc. as well. So EasyMorph really great at automating all of those sort of actions for us to speed up the process of just generating all of these manual reports that we end up doing over and over again every day or week or month. So let's consider not just all of these kind of things in their separate problems, but let's try and put some of this together, generating something approximating a kind of real world scenario where we have to do some reporting every month. We'll use that same data set, and we need to combine this data. We need to filter it, correct it, put it into the correct format, and not just output it as a new set of data, but actually to go further into updating existing Excel reports and even emailing them out. So if we go back to Excel, let's start from scratch. Let's put together some of these things we've covered, and let's build up a workflow to solve that kind of real world problem. So again, I'll start with my already zipped data. So I have my data file here. So the very first thing I will add to EasyMorph is that file command action. I want to unzip it. I will pick, try and get the right folder. I will pick the zip file, and then I will again output it. I'll copy in the path just for speed of finding where I want the data to go. Again, I'll set it to override in case there's data there from last month. And if I run the action and we look in our folder, we've not just got our zipped data, but we've now got all of our spreadsheets loaded in as well. Let's pick them all now and load them in. Now it will put them into a new table for us, but I can simply drag these actions between tables as well to combine them, so that now, because all the actions happen one after another in a table, we know the files will be unzipped before we start to manipulate them or try and load them in. Let's do some of that kind of preparation of the data. So let's sort the data. Now, one important thing to note is that all of these dates are aligned to the left. And EasyMorph, when it shows us the data, is just like Excel, where which way the columns of data align tells us something about the type of data. And so columns which are text, just like in Excel, align to the left, and columns which are numeric align to the right. So because this aligns to the left, I can see that these dates are actually coming in as strings, as text, and not as kind of proper numeric dates, which is what we really want. So again, we can use a shortcut to convert the data type. We want to convert text to date. Now it converts them all to numeric, but I can make sure that they are still all dates. Now they're aligned to the right. We know we've got a valid, proper date. Again, we need to solve our problem of doing some of those lookups. So if we bring in our product CSV file again, and we'll also bring in another one, our sales CSV file, we can use these two lookup tables, just as we did previously, to bring our data from boring codes and IDs into more readable data. So again, lookup, just like a VLOOKUP. I will firstly do my products. And I'll repeat the same thing and do my salespeople as well. So I can start to manipulate this data however I need. I've got it in the shape. Maybe I need to, update the odd value again. Maybe I need to replace computer monitor with, monitor with computer monitor. And when I've got the data looking as I want, well, I've got lots of options for what I can do to get this data out. Now, EasyMorph makes it possible to get it back out, of course, as a data file. I can export it, and there's an export into Excel action, and I can pick where I want this data to go. So I could type in a new file name and it will output a new file name, but actually I've got an existing template and I want to update the data in that template in order that we can not just have the raw plain table of data, but also all of the charts and other things. So let's take a quick look at that template in Excel, if it wants to open for me. There we go. So very simple example report. Obviously, you guys have probably got Excel reports that are far more interesting and rich of dashboards and charts and things. But this one's simple, 2 sheets, a data sheet, and the charts and pivot tables that data that's based on that data. We want to update the data in this existing template, not creating a brand new file without all of those charts. So as well as being able to create a new file, I'll pick that existing template. In fact, let me close it in Excel, otherwise it will lock it up for me. I'll pick that existing template, and instead of creating a new file called template, I can actually replace the existing sheet or a range or even a table, a data table in Excel. And so I'll replace that data sheet in my existing template, and I can click apply. Now, one thing to note here, unlike all of our other actions that were instantly applied, EasyMorph has put a play button over that action. Anytime EasyMorph is going to write data out and therefore possibly do something and affect data in another file or a system, or override a file in this instance, it won't just automatically run it every time we make a change, because maybe we want to double check what we've got, what we've done, and it's not going to break something by writing it over a file that we don't want, for example. So it won't run it by default, but I can run that action manually. And again, I have updated that data sheet in my template. It's got the latest set of data, but one problem that I may have is, depending on the setup and the configuration of my Excel reporting and my charts and my pivot tables, often they won't automatically refresh, which means I still have to open up this file and manually refresh the data in it to try and get those charts and tables to refresh. So again, thankfully, EasyMorph can help with this. We have another action, which is our Excel command action. It can do lots of things with Excel, like listing all the sheets in a specific file. In this instance, the option we want to use is to recalculate the whole workbook, and that will force the workbook to refresh all of those tables and charts and things for me. And again, because it's going to affect an external file, it won't automatically run unless I choose to force it to run for me. And I've updated that file. It's really simple. I've spent 5 minutes and I've managed to manipulate the data and output it and update an existing template report. Now that's 5 minutes, but it's 5 minutes I've done once. I can now save my project. I can call it my monthly report. And now that's saved. And that means it's repeatable. Every month I can open up this same project. I can reload and run all the actions, and EasyMorph will do all of the exact same data manipulation steps as it did before, updating that template for me. And I've not had to do any more work. It took me a couple of clicks and a few seconds. There are a handful of other little bits then that I will cover just to help along the way with that EasyMorph sort of automation aspect, because workflows in EasyMorph, remember, are not just about data preparation, they're also automation. We'll look at this automation and some of the more advanced features much more in the next webinar in a few weeks' time. But a couple of the basic ones I just wanted to cover first of all. When you install EasyMorph, it comes with a companion app which is called the EasyMorph Launcher. Now this is a very simple little scheduling app where I can add EasyMorph workflows that I've already built, projects that I've already created, and either just come to here and find them as a nice list and I can just click the play button and run them manually, or I can also run them automatically on a schedule. And so I can select the EasyMorph workflow that I need to be able to run. I need to, maybe this is a daily report, so I need it to run every day automatically at 9 o'clock in the morning And now my workflow is scheduled. You can see it's next going to run at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I don't even have to do that basic clicking. I can come in the morning and double check that the report went out perfectly without any problems. One other aspect, which can also be a bit time consuming, is dividing up this data into sort of individual chunks. Maybe I need to filter it for individual salespeople and then email it to them. Of course, I can add in the logic here to filter it, but that last topic is really around kind of emailing out that data. And again, we make that as easy as possible for you to do. So I have already connected EasyMorph to my Gmail account, which means I can use a send email action. I can add it to my chain. I'll use my Gmail that I've already set up into it. I just had to point it and give it my username and password to Gmail. I could decide who I'm going to send this to. I'll send it to our support email address. I can, of course, give it a subject and a description, an email to go with it. But importantly, I can now attach that file, that template that we updated, and I can click apply. Now, again, this is another action that's going to do something outside, so it won't do it automatically. But if I run that action and let it do its thing, I will find our support email. I will refresh it, and all being well, we have our Excel report come into our support email address automatically. And again, if I schedule that up, I don't even have to lift a finger. Everybody receives their report in their email every week or month, whatever is needed. So as I said, we've only scratched the surface. There's lots more we'll cover in the next session. I'll pass back to Dimitri. He'll tell us a bit more about what we're going to look at next time.
All right. Well, thank you for the demonstration, Matt. Let's say a few words what about what you've seen and what will happen next. So as you can see, in EasyMorph, you can design workflows visually, and the idea is to reduce repetitive operations with spreadsheets and data and everything around, reduce them to a single button click, so that ideally you design your workflow once, and then next time you simply run it, and you run it as many times as you need. There are many other advanced capabilities, such as parameters, loops, conditional branching. We didn't cover it in today. We will talk about this next time in part 2 of this webinar. But all in all, that's the purpose of the application: reduce manual work that you do with the spreadsheets and data in general, so that you can simply push a button and everything runs at once. All the manipulations, it sends emails, it uploads files, it zips and zips, and do lots of different automations already built in EasyMorph. And or it's scheduled, so you don't have to press any buttons at all. You just every day, let's say at 5 p.m. or 9 a.m., a workflow runs on schedule, and it does what it's supposed to do. So that's the idea. And when you have more free time, you can focus on something that has more business value than just stretching columns in spreadsheets or copy and pasting ranges of data. So that's the idea, the main idea behind EasyMorph. So what we will be talking next in our second part, we will start diving into more advanced capabilities of EasyMorph, such as blending data from databases, querying databases without knowing SQL. So well, you don't have to be an SQL guru to pull data from a database with EasyMorph. So it's actually, again, just dragging and dropping, pointing and clicking. It's quite simple. SharePoint is a popular application in organizations. So we will talk about how you can organize work of your team if you use SharePoint. Advanced workflow constructs such as parameters, loops, conditional branching, error handling, and repetition. So that will be covered as well. We will look briefly at EasyMorph Server, which, by the way, will be soon renamed to EasyMorph Hub. So how can you collaborate using Hub and how to build trigger-based automations, such as, let's say, when an email arrives into a designated inbox, then run a workflow, or when a file is uploaded to SharePoint, then do something automatically as well. So there are, again, multiple automation capabilities in this regard. For now, I know that some of people, some of the participants in this webinar, they already have experience with EasyMorph, and for them, what we've demonstrated could look like, well, that's trivial, that's basic stuff. Nevertheless, I think for those who who has never seen EasyMorph, who has never tried it, this webinar can be helpful to in order to help them get started with the application. So once the recording is available, please forward the link to your colleagues who work with spreadsheet data every day, so that they can watch the recording and try doing something in EasyMorph themselves and see how it can actually make their life easier. So that's all. That's all I wanted to say. And Alex, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so now we're going to go ahead and open it up to a Q&A. If you guys have any other questions in regards to the Excel and EasyMorph integration, you can go ahead and ask, or you can always book a demo. You can always book a demo on our site, and we can go into more specific details about what you do. Looks like we have a question from Daniel. Give me 1 second. All right. What is your favorite change add-on with the upcoming January 2026 major 6.0 release that might also have an impact on Excel automation? Dimitri?
1 second. Sorry, I distracted. I got distracted for a moment. What was the question?
What is your favorite change or add-on with the upcoming major release, version 6.0, that might also have an impact on Excel automation?
That's a good question. That's a good question. One of the biggest features that we'll introduce in version 6 that will be custom actions. And I think what will be a convenient use case for custom actions. For instance, you can use advanced calculations with the help of Python. So for instance, you can use machine learning, AI, or statistical algorithms and apply them to spreadsheet data just with one action, with one custom action. So that's one example that I can think of.
Yeah, I think custom actions will add a lot for kind of those sort of individual things. So we obviously have, as we saw, a large number of inbuilt actions, but there's always those ad hoc things or bespoke things to your business. you've got product codes in a certain format coming from lots of different systems, and it varies, and you need to have them in one standard format. You'll be able to build a custom action, and that will be then usable by everybody. So anybody working with Excel data in EasyMorph can apply that action, pick which column it is it wants, contains those product codes, and it will format them all correctly. And we know that everybody's doing it consistently across the whole business. So yeah, custom actions are probably going to be a really big impactful for using Excel, not just on your, or EasyMorph with Excel, not just on your own, but across a whole business, to really make sure everybody's on the same page and doing things the same way, and not having to replicate doing the same work, building the same logic. You can just, somebody can do it once, share it, and then everybody can use it just like any other action.
And another good use case for custom actions would be updating data in your systems in bulk. For instance, you have some customer records, and maybe you see that, well, addresses are not correct or something else. A person can download again using EasyMorph and Explorer, the data catalog. They will be able to just retrieve this this data set as a catalog asset and download it straight to Excel. Change data in Excel, and then using a custom action, for instance, which will be called update customer records. So you call this action, update customer records, with the existing spreadsheet data, and it automatically verifies. So it can apply different data quality checks and validations. It validates the changes, and it automatically updates the underlying database table or maybe some cloud application. But all that logic will be encapsulated into one custom action, and it will be trivial to use for the end user. Okay. Another. Can you comment about EasyMorph versus agentic AI? That's an interesting question. There is a lot of hype, I would say, around agentic AI, and for a good reason, because, well, the perspectives are very interesting, and agentic AI can, at least it promises to bring work productivity and automation to a new level. In terms of agentic AI, EasyMorph, again, it's less about the desktop, it's more about the EasyMorph Hub. EasyMorph Hub, well, first of all, it provides APIs and tools that can be used by AI agents, well, through either through regular REST API calls, or we are considering, we haven't decided yet, we will see where it's all going, but we might be adding an MCP server for EasyMorph Hub eventually as well, if we see that that would help our customers. But generally speaking, I think the good thing about EasyMorph is that it allows building deterministic high-level automations that can be orchestrated by agentic AI. So I think what EasyMorph brings to the table is the determinism first in the computation logic, and second, because EasyMorph workflows, they consist from predefined actions. It also introduces certain guardrails that your agentic AI doesn't do something crazy, so you can put certain guardrails in place with EasyMorph. And finally, EasyMorph Hub, well, we didn't cover it today, but EasyMorph Hub provides a convenient mechanism that is called issues, which is also a convenient tool to work with AI agents and AI models, where AI agents may create issues with pre-programmed actions but the final decision will be delegated to the human, whether to trigger those automations or not. So that's another example how EasyMorph can work together with agentic AI. Overall, that's an interesting topic. Maybe we should have another conversation about it. But well, there's definitely something to discuss about. A question from Satish: can we automate file naming also using EasyMorph? For example, if the same workflow is repeated every month, can we create file name with period as suffix to differentiate the reports based on this period? Yes, absolutely. There is a mechanism in EasyMorph that is called calculated parameter, and input file names, output file names, they can be defined not explicitly, like in the examples shown by Matt, but using those calculated parameters. I would suggest checking out our tutorial on calculated parameters, or wait until we will demonstrate part 2, because in part 2 we will be talking about parameters as well as calculated parameters.
Just about everything that I entered as a setting in any of the actions can be both hard coded as a value, but also either be a parameter, or many of them can also be an expression, so I can calculate what they are. So yeah, as Dimitri said, I picked static files, but there's nothing to stop me outputting it and calculating what I want the file name to be, so that it's new file name every month automatically spat out.
Any other questions, comments? What you thought?
Yeah, we still have some time, so please go ahead and speak up. Thank you, Rashida. Thanks, Melissa. Alex?
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for all of the nice comments. I will send an email within 1 or 2 days after the webinar, and I will also attach Matt's files to that email as well. So if you want some of those files on how you can like automate some things and use Excel further with EasyMorph, you can find it there. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks for coming. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.